Hi, today on Catherine Learns Stuff, I'm going to walk you through designing this Mother's Day shaker card in Design Space using only free shapes. So let's jump in. So today we're going to design a Mother's Day shaker card in Design Space. This is sort of the design that we're looking towards making. So we're going to get a new canvas and start to make this from scratch. So if you recall from my previous card videos, I like to make my cards from scratch just because that's me, but there are free ones available within Design Space. So I'm going to pull in my square and modify the sizes. So I'm going to make sure I'm unlocked for my dimensions, and I want the card to be 10.75 wide by 8 high. I find that this is a very good size for shaker cards because you need to be able to have some sort of shaker space. Also, we need to pull in a score line so that we can fold our page, and we want that to be 8 high. And we're going to center this on our page. And first I'm going to change the color of my card because I don't like this color. Then we'll go with pink. Probably not going to work with my final design, but we'll go with it. And I'm going to select both the line and the page and attach them together. So this is my working space for my card. Now I'm just going to leave this to the side for now. I don't need to worry about it when I'm designing my flowers or my vase, because those will be adjusted to size accordingly later. So we're going to start off first with the little daisy flower that I've got. So what I need to do is I need to pull in a oval, and I'm going to adjust the size on this. So the daisy I want to be kind of like long and slender, so let's go with that. Now don't pay attention too much to the sizes. This is more about the way the shape looks. We'll adjust the size later. So I've got this one, I'm going to duplicate it, and I kind of want it to be maybe like that far apart. And I select both of them now, and I'm going to duplicate. And while I've still got them both selected, I'm going to rotate them by 90 degrees, and I'm going to move them to be in the center, like that. Oops, in the center, like that. Okay, so now I've got 4 leaves for my daisy, and I'm going to select all 4 now and duplicate them. I'm not actually grouping these, but if you're finding it difficult to move more than one object at a time, grouping them always helps so that you can move just the ones that you want. So I'm going to select my rotation angle, and I'm going to change this now to 45 for these new ones, and I'm going to move this whole bit to be centered vertically and horizontally, like that. Perfect. Now the last thing that I need to do is I need to import a circle and kind of move it into the middle here. So I'm going to just center this guy like so, and that's kind of the shape that I'm looking for with this daisy. So I'm going to quickly select all of them, and I'm going to combine and weld them together. And done. Okay, so there's one flower. So I'm going to change the color of this guy from this dull gray to red because I don't like that color. And the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that my dimensions are locked, so that when I'm changing the sizes of these later, they're proportional to each other. So I'm going to duplicate this guy and make him just a little bit smaller. Maybe like so. No, that's too small. Like so. And I'm going to now rotate it by about 15 degrees just so I can see what it looks like. And I'm going to change the color to give it some life. And again, I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to make it just a bit smaller again, because I want them all to be a little bit smaller than the top one. And I'm going to rotate this to 30 degrees. And I'm going to change the color again. Go back to this one maybe. And one last time I'm going to duplicate this. Where's my duplicate button? And I'm going to make it smaller one more time. Maybe I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to change the color so that it stands out when I'm looking at this. And I'm going to rotate this one more time, just to 45 degrees. About so. So there's my flower, or the daisy as I call it. So the last thing that I like to do on this, because I'm going to have a different color in the center, I'm going to make a little circle here. And I'm going to pull it into the middle here. And I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller than the center here. So like that. So there's my flower. I'm going to group this all together. So we'll select them all and hit the group button so that I can now adjust the size. So I'm kind of going to be looking for about 2 inches in size because that's going to fit on my card nicely. So just going to, let's go 2 inches. So that's kind of going to be one of them. So I'm going to make 3 of these. So I'm going to duplicate to have 3. And then I got 3 daisies. Now I've just left these as 2 separate colors, but when I'm going to be cutting these out later on my Cricut, I'm just going to use scrap pieces of patterned cardstock that I've got, so they're actually going to be a whole bunch of different colors. So the colors that we use here for this flower doesn't really matter. It's just sort of to give it some life and have it look like something as opposed to just all being one dreary color. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to work on is our daisy that I've got. So if you recall in my picture here, I've got this black daisy here at the back. So we're going to work on that one next. Sorry, I call it a water lily, but I'm not really sure what it is. So again, we're going to pull in our shapes. We're going to pull in an oval again and move off to the side so that we don't have any interference. And this shape, again, so we need to unlock our dimensions so that they are... we can change them proportional to each other. So I kind of want this one to be fatter than the last one because it's going to have a different shape to it. And we are going to, I think maybe a little bit fatter, maybe like that. Okay, and so now I'm going to duplicate this guy. And again, we sort of want them to be maybe a quarter of the distance apart from each other, of the length of the whole oval. I'm going to select both pieces and I'm going to duplicate them just like we did last time, and then I'm going to rotate them by 90 degrees. And again, I'm going to center them. Again, if you have troubles moving them around as a group, you can always group them. So if you have trouble moving them around as 2 pieces, where's my center here? Okay, this isn't working. So now I got to group these 2 because it's not cooperating with me. So we're going to group this. And we're going to group these 2 because I want to center and center, and it's not letting me do that. And group, okay. There we go. Alright, so we're going to center this vertically and horizontally like so. And now we're going to add in a circle into the center just like we did last time. This one only needs 4 petals because we're going to be doing a lot of duplicating. So that's kind of the shape that we're looking for. Selecting all of them, and we're going to combine it and weld it. And that's done for the first part. So for this flower, what we do is we're going to have 3 different sizes, but each size will have 2 sets of petals. So we're going to duplicate this guy quickly, and we're going to rotate him by 45 degrees like so, and we're going to center it at the side. Okay, so that's sort of the flower. So we're going to group these. That's the one flower, and we're going to duplicate it and make it just a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to rotate this by 15 degrees so that we can have a different look. And again, I'm going to duplicate this one more time. And again, I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller and center it somehow here. Maybe not. I'm going to rotate this to 30 degrees. Kind of put it like that. So there's the flower. And now what we're going to do, let's do all this. We're going to center vertically and center horizontally. Okay. And now, again, like last time, what we're going to do is we're going to add one last little circle and put it in the middle. Make sure our dimensions are locked. And we're going to put this guy kind of in the middle like before with the other flower. We just want to make sure that it is just a little bit smaller than the center because we're going to have to glue this piece in and we want it to fit. Okay, so I'm just going to change the color of the centerpiece because, oops, I don't like it. I want it to kind of stand out and be visible for when I'm cutting it later. Make you green. I'm going to make all of this here a different color because I really don't like this gray. We'll go with orange, just, that's not a good color. Let's go with yellow. And I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to group it so I can play with this later. Okay, so now I'm just going to decrease this size. And I want this one to be about, let's go about 2.6 inches maybe. Move these guys over here and put this kind of in here. Now remember, these flowers are going to look differently when I have them all cut out because I'm going to be having them cut out in all sorts of random colors, so the colors that we're using here don't really matter. Okay, so we've got 4 of our flowers done, and now we're going to work on our vase. Again, we're just using free shapes from Design Space, so we're going to pull in 2 shapes. We're going to pull in a triangle, and we're going to pull in a oval. I'm going to move them over to the side here, and if you recall from my picture here, we want the vase to be kind of opened big at the top, comes down, and then into a round vase at the bottom. So we're going to quickly pull in we're going to quickly make this shape. So we're going to rotate our triangle by 180 degrees. And we're going to put our oval kind of like so, maybe underneath it. And that's kind of the shape that we're looking for. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine these two and weld them together. And that's done, mostly, except we got to change the size here. So now, making sure that our dimensions are locked, we're going to increase this so that we've got kind of the vase that we're looking for. I'm going to just change my dimensions, unlock them a little bit, make the vase a little bit wider. Now when I'm making shaker cards, I kind of like to make the shaker space as big as possible because it's hard to work with small spaces. And so let's say the vase is going to be that big, and that's where our shaker bits are going to be. So the first thing that I need to do with this piece is I need to duplicate it, and I put that duplicate off to the side. Now this duplicate is going to be what we use for our clear film, so either acetate or in my case I'm going to be using clear protective sheets because I've got those. That one there is for our clear cover on the shaker card. Now this one here, what we need to do is we again need to make 2 more duplicates so that we've got something to work with for our shaker outline. So what I want to do is I need to make sure that the lock on my dimensions is off because this is kind of a weird shape. If I change it symmetrically, it's not gonna really work. So I want to make it smaller so that I've got an edge around the top and the bottom and all the sides. So, but enough so that we've got actually space for our double-sided tape to stick. So that kind of looks good to me. So I'm going to quickly slice this apart and get rid of all of my surplus pieces that I don't need. So I'm going to get rid of these 2 inside pieces. And let's change some colors here because I need to see what's going on. So the piece on the card is going to be the backing, which is going to be white. And then this piece is going to be on top of it, like so. And that piece I'm going to change to red because, I don't know why, just to have it something different than the gray. Let's go red. Okay, so there's our vase. And that piece can stay the gray because we know it's going to have to, you know, we're actually going to change it to black because I see I've got some gray bits in the flowers there. So that we know it's a separate piece all by itself. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to make some stems for these flowers. Now, they don't need to be perfect because they're kind of going to hide behind the flowers, so it's not super important that they're fancy or awesome looking because they really do just hide behind the flower. So pulling in some shapes, we're going to pull in a square, And we're going to kind of make it into a thin, narrow rectangle like so. And we're going to pull in another oval. And we're going to change the shape to make it look, whoops, to make it look like this, and then rotate it, and then change the size a little bit. And it kind of looks like a petal like this, a petal or a leaf. So we're going to select the two items, combine them, and weld them together. And we're going to change it to green so that it looks like a petal. Okay, so that's the idea. We're going to duplicate this so we have 4, one for each flower. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of make them smaller for each flower that we've got so that it looks a little bit better, right? So this one maybe will go like this. And we're going to send this back a little bit so that it's not on top of the flower in the vase. So kind of like so, right? This one here, make it a little bit smaller as well. Maybe a bit fatter because it's, and rotate it. I'll just put this here. And again, we're going to move this backwards just to give an idea of what it looks like. Like so. This one is going to be thin and narrow, like so, and kind of hide it in here. Again, moving this backwards until it's behind our flowers. Like that. And then this guy is going to be small and thin, and we're just going to flip them for fun. Oops. And move him here, like so. And again, put it back so that it looks like something. Undo. Okay, so there's the top part of our picture. Now when we put this together, they're going to look a little bit different because we'll put the flowers kind of where they fit on the page nicely. So there's most of it. The last thing that we need to do is we need to write Happy Mother's Day because this is a Mother's Day shaker card. So, pulling in our text. I'm going to move over to the side again so that it's not interfering with anything. I'm going to write Happy Mother's Day. Okay, so there's my Happy Mother's Day. Now, I'm going to bring this over my words here because I need to change the size on this. I want this to be smaller so that it kind of fits over my vase here. Put a curve on this like that and done. Okay, so that's going to be our letters for Happy Mother's Day. I'm going to move this off to the side so that I can play with this a little bit. I got to change the colors because I really don't like this gray. I'm going to make you red. I'm going to go gray. Gray. And now that we've got this, what I need to do is I want to put an offset around this. And I'm going to have 2 offsets just because I kind of want it to pop a little bit. Kind of want it to look like, maybe like this. Okay, so that's my first offset. And I'm going to change that. Why did everything change? I want this offset to be purple. Okay, and now I've got this offset selected. I'm going to make another offset on this one. And I want it to be a little bit bigger so that it kind of pops behind my card. Let's do it like that. And we're going to make that color white just so that it pops behind our... And I'm going to select all these and nope, not combine them. We're going to group them together so I can move them around. Okay, and bring it forward. So that's kind of the idea there. So now I've got all the pieces ready to go. So all we need to do is select Make It. Now remember, when I'm going to be making these, my flower pieces are all going to be different colors, except for the water lily, which I'm going to have as one color. But the daisies are going to be sort of random pieces of all sorts of colors. And the one last thing that when I'm cutting this before I go there, I'm not actually cutting out the card piece because I'm not sure what color to do that just yet. I think once I've got my flowers and my vase all done and my shaker bits all inside of my card, I'll be able to figure out what fancy textured cardstock is going to work the best behind the flowers. So we'll wait to cut that out till the very end. Oh, just looking at this here, you'll notice my Mother's Day, Happy Mother's Day, is just outside the line, so we need to make sure that it's a little bit smaller so it stays on our page here. It fits if I can center it, but that way it's not outside of the edges of the card, so it won't fit in an envelope otherwise. Okay, so that's it. It's ready to go. We're gonna cut this, and don't forget this last piece here has to go off into an acetate or onto a clear film, whichever one you're using, so that it cuts off easily. I just use protective sheets that you use in binders, and then I just cut it as party foil. So let's click make it and send this off to get it cut, and so that we can assemble it. And that's it. Our Mother's Day shaker card is designed. I've got a whole other video that walks us through assembling this card as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.